see your screen.
All right. Well, thank you, DJ, very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And as DJ mentioned, I'm super excited. There is a brand new update. So I want to walk you through the two main features of the update that I'm sure you're going to love as much as I do. So we're looking at the screen, a couple things. When you open Craft and Cut software, this is the landing page, the training and support page that always comes open. So here we posted under what's new, we posted two videos, Knockout Tool, Heat Transfer Vinyl, and new shadow effects. So later you can go and watch those videos. So they are live and you will find them here on the What's New page. If you've missed previous webinars, or if you want to watch this recorded webinar within 48 hours, you'll click on Webinar, and this will take you to my previous webinars. So this is a great landing page. You also have Help button and some different buttons here. If you have a question pertaining to Craft and Cut software that you need answered, while I wish I could answer all of those questions, I'm not able to. There are some lovely ladies from R&K waiting to help you, and you're going to click on Support, and that is going to take you to this landing page. You're going to type in your serial number and what operating system you use, such as Windows 7 or 10. All this information at the very end, don't forget to hit Send, and they will be glad to help you. So let's close out this screen and come into a new page. And I've selected a new page. You can see my mouse right in this area. So what I want to show you is a brand new shadow effects. So before I get started, if you're following along with me, let me open Custom Shapes. Then I'll scroll to Shapes, and we'll take this heart. I'm going to change this heart into a nice bright color. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a contour, and I'm going to leave it about a ½ an inch miter outside. And it shows miter because this does have a sharp point to it. And I'm going to select OK. In my layers window, I've just created two different hearts. And let me just change this heart to a different color for you. And if I fill this in, you can see that I have two hearts. If I move this up, you can see my two different hearts. I'm going to select all items and use my combine. The reason why I'm doing this, I want a heart that's cut open in the middle, and rather than two shapes, I want one shape to show up in the layers window. To achieve this, you're going to select all items and then combine. Now when I come back down to the layers window, you can see I only have one piece of artwork, and let me change that again. So if you're following along with me, by the way, a lot of people ask me when I'm on the road teaching our sip and sew tea parties or cutting edge retreats, how did you learn to do all this? Well, my best advice I can give you is I learned to digitize and use Craft and Cut by simply, and all the R&K programs, by having a tablet or a second computer, and I would be playing webinars and Kathy Quinn's videos and all of those things that are available as resources. I'd have my software program open on a second computer, and I would pause the video and learn right along with whoever was presenting. So that's probably your quickest way to learn. So with this heart selected, let's come into the new feature called, wait for it, oh wait, you don't have to wait for it, it shows up right there, shadow effects. So let me open the shadow effects open. But maybe you're sitting there saying, I don't have that icon. Well, you may not have the latest version of Craft and Cut, and I'll let you in on a very soon to be well-known secret is they sent out an update yesterday or early this morning, so chances are you don't even know it exists yet. So let me show you how to get it. If you'll travel to your Help menu, click on Help, and then scroll down until you find Check for Updates. Once you click on this, it'll take you to the Quilter Select web page, and you'll scroll down here. And this update was released today on September 26th. And there's the update version. So all you have to do is click here and install the update. So now back to, I've created this open shape, and now if you've installed the update, close down your program and opened it again, you'll see this shadow effect icon. Let's click on this. And with this shadow effect icon, this is commonly used with scrapbookers working with paper. But what's really nice is you can use it with just about anything, with applique, with rhinestones, with paper, with fabric, with heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to show you what the shadow effect looks like. First, I'm going to leave it at default, and notice you have miter. You can see that I have mitered angles here, or you have bevel, or you have round. The margin is how far away you want the shadow work to be. And the color, what color do I want it? Now I want to change this color, because if I added a pink shadow to a pink object, you're not going to notice any different. So let's go ahead and let's just take a different shade. We'll do a red shadow and then import it. And you can see I have a little darker shadow. So with default and miter, 0.12 inches and a red, I'm going to select OK. Notice when I click on the magnifying glass, it's going to zoom in as large as I can. So what's happened in this layer window is before we only had the pink heart. Now we have a shadow. And at default, what has happened is it gave me 0.12 inches outside and inside of the shape. So let me put these back together. So I've got 0.125 from here to here. And then the same distance from here to here. So I have a complete shadow. Let me undo this. Let's select all items and come back to the shadow effect. Now, I don't know about you, but my husband loves football. And so this is the time of year that he loves to sit and watch football. Me, not so much. So if you want to be a good football wife, then you could sit there with your craft and cut software program and just click all the buttons, see what they do, what you like, what you don't like, and then you could just make sure one eye is kind of looking at the TV. That's what I do. Hopefully Marv's not listening. All right, so we were at default. Now let's go to bevel. Again, I'm going to change this to a dark color. I'm going to keep everything else the same. All I've done is change it to bevel. And notice what happens in the bevel. It actually kind of sawed off this inside area. And if we scroll down here, it did the same thing here. So I have a sharp point for the original object, but it beveled it at the end. It still did the same thing where it gave me 0.12 on inside and outside. All right, so we have one more option. Let me show you that. So we'll come back to our shadow effect, and now I'll select round. Let me change the color again. Select OK. And now basically you can see the same thing has happened. It's given me the shadow inside and outside, but now it rounded this. So you've got lots of options. Beautiful. All right. So wait, there's more. So if we go back into the shadow effect, that was the default. And remember, the default added a distance on the outside and the inside. Now inset. Let's go and see what happens here. Let's change it to red. I'm going to leave for the exercise for the webinar everything at 0.12 inches. All right, I'm at inset and miter. And check that out. That is pretty darn cool. This just looks like Valentine's Day. You can make your own paper cutouts or banners or whatever you wanted. So let's take a look at this inset. It set it inside of the original shape. And if I undo this, what it's done now is it's inset it about 0.12 inches. So what that means is it made it skinnier than the original shape, leaving me about 0.12 of the original heart underneath. Pretty cool. I really like that look. It's very different. Craft and cut where you have one-click wonders. Just love it. Now if I go back to inset and to round, we'll just change this. I think you get the picture that it's just the way that it does the points, but let's just see what round looks like. Now oddly enough, looking at this round, if we zoom in, the inset actually isn't really rounded, it's still pointed. So don't be afraid to click buttons. If you don't like it, good news, you haven't cut it out yet. Just click the next button. All right, let's undo this. Let's go back to more shadow effects. Here we go. All right, that was the inset. Now the blackout. I really like the blackout. Again, I'm going to leave it at miter. I'm going to leave it at 0.12, and now let's change this to red and check that out. So if you look over in the layers window, what it did is it blacked out a full shape behind the original pink shape. I used to do this all the time when I worked with paper, do the blackout. So now you've got a full shape behind it. Love that. Reminds me of chocolate. All right. And if you're wondering where that squirrel came from, chocolate, you know, like the hearts filled with chocolate. Shadow effects. We have one more, and that's going to be an outline only. And honestly, this is a little bit redundant. It's almost the same thing as the default, except it doesn't fill it with color. So let me show you what I mean here. We're going to go to change it to red. And notice the shape is the same and it's not filled with color. I can fill it with color. So using this effect would be more for just visual purposes. All right, so you've got your shadow effects. Let me do this again really quick for you. We're going to go back to the default. And we have this, perfect. Let me duplicate this heart over here. Well, let's go here. And I'm going to get rid of this inset here. And let me zoom out so you can see what I'm doing a little better, or so I can see. Now we'll go to shadow effects and we'll do the inset. And I'll change that to pink. Perfect. I'm going to duplicate this one. And let's do a different shadow effect. And we'll just do the blackout this time. And we'll color this red. And so you have your three different shapes. Shadow work. So I hope that you guys find some great, whoops. If this ever happens to you, double click on the magnifying glass and everything comes back to full screen. So if you guys find some ways that you use this in your digital cutting, I want you to do me a favor. Please show me what you're doing with this. This just inspires us to give you even more tools in Craft and Cut. And one of the things I want to show you is if you're on Facebook and you go to Designs by Hope Yoder Facebook page, we just ask that you join our fan group. This is new, only a few months old, and here you're going to find questions that you can ask about Craft and Cut. I have videos, and I'm going to give you a surprise free design for anybody who does own this. But you can kind of see what people are doing here on my private fan group. And the reason for a private fan group is because on a fan group, I can actually give you free files. So not on your computer and not on a tablet or a cell phone. I'm sorry, only on a computer, not on a tablet, not on a cell phone. If you're on a desktop computer or a laptop, when you go over to this area, you can scroll into past videos that I've made. A lot of Craft and Cut videos are on this page. So if you've missed anything, I've made lots of free videos and also some free download files for you. So check that out when you have time. And there, I'd love for you to post some objects or some projects that you've made with the shadow work. Love to see it, and I'm sure everybody else would as well. So that's the shadow work. What do you guys think? I think it's awesome. So let me get rid of this shape here. And that was one of the biggest updates that we've done is the shadow work. I hope that you love it. Now let's come into heat transfer vinyl. We're going to talk about heat transfer vinyl a little bit. If you're not familiar with that, it's vinyl that you press onto a t-shirt, and you probably own some of these. And if you haven't tried it, it's a lot of fun. So let me take a design, some text, and let's do some knockout. I'm going to select text, and I'm going to click, and let me put, let's see, I was playing around with this before, the Lucky Clover, so that's what we'll do. Lucky Clover. Last one's a charm. So I'm going to type in all capital, Lucky Clover. I like to use Applique 2 font, even though I'm not using it for Applique. It's a nice big chunky font. I'm going to select 4 for my line spacing, and then I'm going to move the letters really close together. I want them close but not touching. So if you're not new to Craft and Cut and you have been playing around or watching my videos, you will have seen some knockout videos. And so I'm just going to show you what knockout does for vinyl, but then we've added a free update for you that I think you could get really excited about. Knockout. So I am moving the letters close together but not touching, and look what happens when I move the letters, everything else kind of moves with it. So I like that. I'm going to click off, and let me just change the color of this. And in your custom shapes window, there is a Clover. Oh, you know what? I got the Clover from the Hope Yoder library. So when you purchase Craft and Cut software, there was a CD inside of the box that had 264 free SVG files, and I've just installed them into the program, and here's the Clover. So I'll bring that in. Now if you're wondering, oh, how do I install that? It's really easy. If your CD, your computer has a CD drive, put the CD in. If not, you can purchase a CD drive at your local discount store. Once you do that and have the CD in, you're just going to go under File and Import Hope Yoder Designs, and bam, it throws them right here. All right, so for knockout, let's demonstrate this. And I am going to make the Clover so that it is about the same height as my text. And there we go. Now, knockout, if you're not familiar with it, let me give you an idea. This is an example of what knockout looks like. And I love when you can look up knockout panthers, and there's always this great image right here where you have Panther Pride, or let me find the one I'm looking for. Here we go. Love this image. If you look at this image, you can see that the black letters have been knocked out with a panther animal inside of there. So we didn't just cut, this one they didn't just cut a panther and put it behind or in front of the text. They actually knocked the shape into the letters. So this is a really cool technique. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to knock out the green Clover shape out of the text. Are you ready? Now, where you're going to find the knockout icon is in this area. And anytime you see a down arrow pointing down, that means click me, and inside of there, you're going to have lots of hidden tools. And if you hover your mouse over them, you'll see what each one means. Well, here is knockout. So watch my screen as I select knockout. Boom. Now, can you see it? Let me make this a little darker. There we go. There's my Clover. Now, if for some reason I didn't like the way it knocked out the shape, let me make this darker again, then it's like a kaleidoscope. Hey, do y'all remember when you were kids, you had one of those little kaleidoscope? you'd hold it up to the light and next to your eye, and you would turn it, and every time you turned it, you got a different effect. Well, that's kind of what Knockout is about. So I'm going to take this, and I could move it a little bit to the left or right, and now notice Knockout, the last icon that I selected, stays here, so I don't have to click on the drop-down arrow anymore. I can just click. Oh, yeah, I lost a lot right here because of the L, so I'm going to select Undo. And let's try that again. I'm going to select Knockout. Perfect. Oh, no, I've got a weird shape there. So let's go back a little bit more, and I just keep moving it until I love the shape that I get. That looks pretty good to me. So with this selected, let's unfill this so you can look at it. Now, in this shape, let me select this and fill it. And the open shape, can you see how the lines just butt up to each other? They don't overlap. They just fit like a puzzle perfectly. Can you see that? Now, if I wanted to cut this out of vinyl and stick it on the back of my windshield of my car, I would select all items, and let me zoom out. And from here, I would select layered vinyl registration marks. And then we're going to select those, and I would add them to the top because my design is longer than it is high. I'm going to add those. And the layered registration marks, if you have not watched any of my videos before, let me show you exactly what this does. When you get ready to cut out these two different shapes, or cut out any shape on your digital cutter, you're going to select them, and then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to run it through Save to Cut. We're going to cut out vinyl for the back of our car, and if I was using a scan and cut, I would leave it here. I'm going to select Next. And here's where the magic happens. If you don't own Craft and Cut, look on quilterselect.com and go find the nearest dealer near you, buy it. This alone is worth the money. I've said I'm going to use a scan and cut. It's going to tell me what to put my blade depth at. I'm going to use a standard blade. I'm going to put the cut speed at 3, the blade pressure at 1. When you buy vinyl, it comes with paper on the back. Do I take that off or leave it on? Do I put it right side up, right side down? These are things we don't know when we're new to this. But Craft and Cut knows, and it's letting me know. Application, paper side down, and kiss cut, which means do not cut through the release paper on the back. Leave the paper on and stick it to the mat. Well, that's really helpful. But when I scroll down using multicolored vinyl that overlaps, it's best to apply registration marks. You guys click right here to this video and
onto the surface. I really like
show
this
you for a
tape
minute
because it
how this
doesn't leave a
works.
residue. The only thing that I have to do is match up the blue squares with the red squares. I don't have to worry about any of this. This is why I've covered the sticky part back up with the paper. So I'm going to usually stand up and kind of lean over, and you've got one shot to make this happen. And so I'm going to slowly and carefully, slow and steady, match up all the squares. Looks like I did a pretty good job. Shocking being on camera. It's a little difficult to do that, but I got it on one shot. Now, if I didn't get it on one shot, you could go through with it and finish it, and it might look okay, and you might be happy with it. If it's not, a little hint, if I'm at home in my studio, I would have cut multiples of these just in the event that I didn't get something centered. I'd have them all cut, so I wouldn't have to go back to the cutter. I'd have them all right here, and that speeds up things quickly. Now, once I have that, I'm going to roll the paper up. This release paper that's lightly stuck to the first layer, I'm going to remove it, put it aside, and now I'm going to just roll this down so it lines up perfectly in place. Now I have two layers. I've got the red and the blue, and I'm going to scrape
All right, so you can watch that video, and again, how you're going to find it is Save to Cut, and it shows you how to use the registration marks. So that video is built right into Craft and Cut. Isn't that exciting? Yes, Hope. All right, we're going to click Next, and here it just reminds you, hey, we have the registration marks. So once you went through with Save to Cut, it's actually going to save the two different color vinyl cut files. And then you'll simply take them and put them from your computer onto a USB stick into your Scan and Cut. All right, and that's great if you're doing vinyl. Let me undo all of this. And what I'm going to do is show you the new update. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? I can't hear you. I hope you're ready. What I'm going to do right now is make a duplicate copy of this. All right, and we'll have these two over here. All right, here we go. This is the knockout, just like I showed you for vinyl. Now let's come up here, and I'm going to zoom in just on this section. And if I wanted to do, whoops, not all items here. Whoa. Just want these two items. And let me turn these two off. Now I can select all items. And remember the little drop-down arrow. Now we've added a new update. Are you ready? Heat transfer vinyl knockout. Why would you need two? Well, I'm getting ready to show you. It's awesome. How many of you have done heat transfer vinyl? If you've done that, you know that there's shrinkage. Yes, shrinkage. When you apply your first layer of heat transfer vinyl onto your t-shirt, it shrinks. So when I go to apply the second layer, sometimes it doesn't fit. So what we wanted to happen was that the second layer is a little bit larger for heat transfer vinyl to accommodate or to offset the shrinkage that happens. So you've got two heat transfer vinyls. The one I showed you previously would be for vinyl, sticker vinyl that you use transfer tape like the video. But if you're going to do heat applied transfer vinyl, you're going to use this new icon. You ready? Bam. And what happened if I unfill this and let me zoom in, you've got overlap. You've got a little bit bigger shape here to accommodate the offset lines. So you won't have to worry about shrinkage anymore. Now it looks a little bit different, but when you press it, it's going to look great. So let me turn back on the eyes so we can look at everything together. And let me bring this up. And let me unfill everything. To unfill everything, you can select Outline Only View. Now, let's zoom in here. Let me get close to this and this. And you can see in this section, there's no overlap for the heat transfer vinyl. Again, that would be for sticker decal vinyl, like what you see on the back of cars. And this one would be for heat applied. So now you have two different choices. Yay, thank you. I love that. So let me see what you get and that your samples that you make, you can test that out. You've got a couple different options here. All right, let's go to another page. And now we're going to get to the free project. Again, on Facebook, Designs by Hope Yoder fan group, I'm going to post the next file, the next thing that I'm getting ready to. But a couple of you have asked questions on my fan group about how to generate applique. And so let's go back to this original design, and let's just take this heart, and let me just delete everything else. Let's pretend like you loved this heart, because it's so exciting, right? And you created this shape. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Wrong one. And I am going to delete this, and let's zoom in. So right now, this heart is about a little under 5 inches. That's a good size for an applique. So if I wanted to turn this into machine embroidered applique, I would simply select applique. Done. Perfect. I've got some options, and we have lots of videos that you can watch. We have blanket stitch, satin stitch, or over 400 motifs. If I want to look, see what it's going to look like with color, I could fill it in just so you get an idea. Now, if I want to cut this out, I'm going to send it through Cut Preview, Save to Cut. I'm going to select Fabric with Applistick and go through the motion, and that will give me the cut file. There's a video, and there are your cut settings. But if I want to save this so that I can get it to my embroidery machine, super easy. I'm going to select File, Save As, and now I'm going to select the format that I need to embroider this out. Pretty easy, right? But now let's go to the project. And let me pull up the picture so I can show you what I had fun making here in my studio. And so Minions, in fact, I think my daughter and I were talking about going to see the Minion movie, which I know it's Despicable Me has been out for a while, but we haven't seen it, so we thought we'd just go see it. Love these movies. And I used heat transfer vinyl, and I applied the shadow effects that I've just shown you to make this t-shirt. The shadow effect is behind the Minion, and it's behind the 1 in a million. So let's kind of zoom in really big, and you can see this Minion design. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to put the files, the WAF, the finished craft and cut file, and the screenshot image into my fan group so you can practice this later. So we're going to use the Auto Artwork Wizard. Now, I'm going to use the word hack because I think it's just hysterical. I'm going to hack something. I'm going to take an image that I found, and I'm going to make it into a vector file so that I can cut it out on my Scan and Cut or any digital cutter that I own. So how do I do that? If I was going to go online and look for Minion art, let's call it line art. Oops. Well, it would, hey, look at that. It knows me. So then I'm going to go on to images, and I'm going to find an easy design. So I think I picked something, this is the design that I picked. And you're going to need to print it or screen capture it, however you're going to do that. All right. And then once you have it on your computer, we're going to use the Auto Artwork Wizard. If you haven't used this, this is thebomb.com. This is my hacker. They should call it hacker, but that probably doesn't sound very good. So let's go ahead. Let me show you how to use this in the last 10 minutes that we have left. So I'm going to select Auto Artwork Wizard and find the image. Now I saved this image in my Craft and Cut folder, and I dated it September, and here it is. And you can see the image. I don't worry about what the size is. It's a bitmap image. That's great. I'm just going to select Open. Once I've done this, I'm going to select Next. And I don't really worry about all the details because I can always do it again if it isn't what I want. So let's leave the width and the height the same. I'm going to select Next. And at this screen, it's showing me, hey, I see white and black. And notice how fuzzy it is because it's just a poor resolution hack of an image that I got off the internet. And when I select Next, I want you to watch right in here. It's going to smooth up the lines. And let's talk about this. If you had an image the size of an egg and you wanted to blow it up to 12 inches so that you could cut it out on your mat, the line would get really, really fuzzy. And your digital cutter, or if you were using scissors, you'd have no idea where the line was. Do you cut in the middle of the fuzzy line, on the left, the right? So this Auto Artwork Wizard is actually going to turn it into vector image. You ready? Let's do this. Next. It cleaned it up. Let me go back. Don't look away. You've got this fuzzy pixelated image. When I select Next, it cleans it up. And when I select Next again, booyah, there it is. Woohoo! That's pretty darn exciting. Now, let's look in the layers window. So step number 1 is you find the image and the cleaner the image is to start with, obviously, the better that that's going to be for you to use. Now, there's some really stray marks. I don't want to cut out those marks, so let's just do this. I can find them and delete them. So I'm selecting them, right-click, and delete. I don't need little specks of hair. This minion is cute without his little hair plugs. All right, let's get rid of all of that. Super easy. So one thing I want to tell you guys is when you do find artwork and you use the Auto Art Wizard, this really helps make you be a genius because you are going to need to clean up the design sometimes. So that's really all I needed to do was get rid of his hair marks. Let's see how big he is. He's pretty big. I'm just going to leave him like that. And now notice all of these different elements inside of the design. When I open this, I really just want to see one element. I want these all to be combined into one object. So I am going to select this, and just like I showed you before, I'm going to select Combine. When I do, I want you to watch what happens in the Layers window. All right, it closed, but now I have one object. Perfect. All right, you ready? We're going to use shadow effects. Woo! Open it up. I'm going to use shadow, or excuse me, blackout. I'm going to change it to yellow. Now, notice in this image, there's really nothing that's mitered, so I'm going to choose round and then OK. Love it. Let me hide this. Check it out. I have a shadow, a blackout effect behind my minion. Now that's what I wanted to happen. But let me show you what could happen to you and to tell you it's okay. You have permission to make ugly because it's just a click away to make pretty. So let me undo this. And now that we've combined it, let's try the shadow effect. And if I left it at miter, I want to, oops, not what I wanted to do. Here, let's go back. And let me change this to yellow because minions are yellow. And if I left it at miter, blackout, and miter, check out what happens. Ugly happens. And you know what? Ugly is going to happen. And what do? Look at that. That is not what I wanted. I wanted a solid blackout shape. So that's not what I was looking for. But you know what? Undo is your BFF. So we're going to undo that. And select shadow effect again, blackout, round, yellow. So ever see that movie Flipper? Just be a clicker, man. Click buttons. If you like it, save it. All right, I like that. So that's looking good. I've got my yellow vinyl and my black vinyl, and let's just show you again the picture that I was making. Back to the t-shirt. Now I've got to add your 1 in a million, or excuse me, 1 in a million. So to do that, we're going to just select text, and you can use any type of text you want. And I'm going to use whoops, and let's change this to applique 5 so that I can use that little apostrophe. And if you want this to be closer together, you can, but I like it the way it is. And let's make it red. The next thing that I did is I came up here and I used the rectangle tool. And I drew a rectangle around that. Now let me hide all these other things so we just see the text that I'm working on. All right, I like that, but I want to center the two together. So I'm going to come up into my alignment tools, and remember there's a drop-down menu, so I'm going to select this, and I want them to be vertical center align. Perfect. Now, let's fill this and unfill it. And what I've done is combined these two items here. Actually, we can just kind of leave it like it is. Let's change this to a different color. And now if I select both of these, and we'll change them both to red. And this is the beauty of Craft and Cut. You can make it whatever you want. Let's turn these back on. So I've got I'm going to group this, and let's go to more text, and let's change this text to black. And you can use any text you want. And I think I just used rounded text. I like rounded. Not capital, 1 in A. Select apply. Perfect. I'm going to click off. And now I can't use the shadow effect with this. Notice that. But if I right click, I can break up the text. I can combine this as one object, and now I can use the shadow effect. Let's see what happens. And I'm not worried, because if it doesn't work good, I can redo it, but that looks pretty good. So again, I've got shadow, blackout, I'm going to group it, and then I'll do the same thing for the letter A. Shadow, blackout, and if you like this, then go ahead and group it together so you don't accidentally move it. And then the last font, you kind of get it. I'm just going to use plain text to do minion. And we'll do this. Once I have everything the way I want it, I can take these and align them. Let's see if I remember to group everything. I did. Like it. Now, did I group both of these? Let's see. Nope. Now I've got everything the way I want it. And with this, I'm going to do the vertical align again. If you like it, save it. Now, what do we need to do for heat transfer vinyl? We're going to mirror image it. So I'm going to flip horizontally, use Save to Cut, select Heat Transfer Vinyl. Next, it's going to give me all the suggested settings. Here's a video for you. When you buy heat applied vinyl, it has the mat or the carrier sheet that you iron upon. You're going to place that shiny side down, continue through the prompt so that you can save it. And when you're done, you're done. You're going to take those files and cut them out. So there is Shadow Effects Knockout for Heat Transfer Vinyl using the Auto Artwork Wizard. We've shown you a lot today, and let me bring up this image again. So in conclusion, if you like this Your 1 in a Million file, then I'm happy to give that to you along with, let's see here, let's go back to Facebook to show you, for those of you who aren't members, this will be up within 48 hours. So when you go here to Facebook, search Designs by Hope Yoder Fan Group. You won't find it if you just put my name. You'll need Designs by. And I can see there's a couple people here that will join. But then you're going to go to Files. Again, you need to be on a computer, not a tablet, and not on a phone to find the files to download. Also, we'll put the webinar, it'll be recorded here under videos, or back in Craft and Cut to find the videos. When you open your screen, webinar, you can find this recorded webinar. Give us a couple days to make sure it's live, and you can go to webinars, and that will take you to the latest webinars. My last webinar was crop, and hey, the shadow effect would have been brilliant when I was doing that webinar. So you can go back there and look at that. So until we meet again, our next webinar is going to be in November. Please sign up for that now, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take it away, DJ.
All right, thank you, Hope. Another wonderful job, and I love your minion project that you did. That's great. Was that shirt for me that you did?
Yes, it's your size. It's a toddler 5.
Great, good.
I'll
Um,
send it to you.
yeah. Thank you everyone for attending, and we look forward to meeting with you again in November. So thanks, Hope. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.